first half of this project ended with a Zelda game, so it's only appropriate that the second half starts with a Zelda game. That's right, we're kicking off with another underappreciated Zelda game, Spirit Tracks. Out of all of the Zelda games I've played, this was the one I expected to have the most issues. It was released in the wake of Skyward Sword's delay and sported an almost identical style and gameplay to that of Phantom Hourglass, so from quick glances of the game I had before getting it, I wasn't terribly excited. But when I got Spirit Tracks, I was pleasantly surprised. I think the main reason people don't like this game is due to the existence of the train mechanic, and my thoughts on this comment are go cry yourself a river. The mechanic isn't bad. Sure, unlike the vehicles of Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, the train is firmly set on rails, in turn preventing free exploration. But this never bugged me a terribly big deal. Traveling by train is fun, especially with the accompanying music while traveling, and the rest of the game is pretty great too. Just like the Zelda game this is a sequel to, Spirit Tracks is controlled entirely by the touchscreen. Buttons? They are so last generation. Everything from swinging your sword, using your items, interacting with objects, talking to people, and even goddamn walking is done through using the touchscreen. While some might say it's a stupid gimmick, the game is built around this control field. I think the item that demonstrates this best is the boomerang, where you literally draw a path for the boomerang to follow, and puzzles in the game take full advantage of it. I think the greatest thing this game did was make Zelda have an integral role in terms of the adventure. She isn't strictly a damsel to save at the end. Kinda. She's been separated from her body, and her spirit travels with you as your partner. In this state, she can possess phantoms that can help you out in combat, puzzle solving, and in exploration. I feel that this kind of bond to Zelda is fantastic, as it allows her to be fully realized as a character, and gives the player a real motivation to save her. It's also one of the select times when the bond between Link and Zelda is more than just hero and damsel, and the relationship feels genuine. When I talked about World of Warcraft, I mentioned my character that I had was named Burn, after the badass Burn from Spirit Tracks. This guy is just really awesome. I mean, your first encounter with him has him taking out your teacher with little effort and bitch-slapping Link a hell of a distance. And he develops as the story goes on. To wrap this up, Spirit Tracks, give it a chance. It's pretty damn great. Bitch slap! Oh, snap! If you'll remember back to part 3 and the Sticker Star segment, I said that Sticker Star was supposed to go back to the series' RPG roots. Which game defined the Paper Mario RPGs? None other than the 1000-Year Door. That's right, I read a script no longer. Paper Mario 2 gets a lot of stuff right. The story is one of the bests in the entire Mario franchise. The whole thing revolves around the mystical 1000-Year Door and the treasure that lurks behind it. There's a ton of stuff that goes on in this story, and all split up into 8 chapters. This leads to another great thing about 1000-Year Door, how each chapter has its own story. Really, if the whole game focused on just one story, it would be really boring, which would be kinda shit frankly, so it has a bunch of mini-stories sprinkled throughout. These range from a dragon that's been eating Koopas from Pokemon Town, to discovering a dark conspiracy behind a fighting arena. Every single story provides something fresh, and I like that. The gameplay is just as great too. The 1000-Year Door features the RPG-based battles from the earlier Mario RPGs, but adds some new things here and there. They added the crowd to power up special moves and throw items at Mario. They added the increased usage of the partners, including having their own HP bar and other attributes, and it introduced a plethora of new overworld mechanics as well. These overworld mechanics include being able to transform into a paper plane, boat, and tube. One of the best aspects that combines both gameplay and story are the different partners. These partners, while they are a great help both in battle and on the overworld, really shine in their backstories. For example, Koops is a timid Koopa who is hell-bent on finding his father and proving his worth to his girlfriend in town, while Bobbery is a war-torn soul who lost his wife while out at sea and has felt guilty ever since. These partners have a ton of personality. which is something that everyone can enjoy about this game. In between levels, you also get little snippets where you can play as Princess Peach inside the X-Naut Fortress, or as the King of the Koopas himself, Bowser. But honestly, I prefer playing as Bowser over Peach. Why? Playing level 1-1 from the original as Bowser and tearing shit up! One last thing worth talking about is the presentation. This game looks pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Places like the Bogley Tree just made me so amazed by these graphics. On top of that, we have some awesome music tracks to listen to. I haven't heard all the tracks in the game, but one particular that I remember is the File Select theme. Oh, this is good funky music right there. I would talk some more about this game, but I don't know that much about it. I've only played the first 2 chapters and I'm just making assumptions and getting other information here. I know I will love the game, I just haven't played it that much yet. In good time, people. In good time. Throughout this project, I haven't had a terrible number of shared entries. I've had the Mario and Sonic the Olympic Games series as well as the Sonic Advance series, with both having debatable quality. But this is one of the most either loved or hated among one of my favorite franchises. Both games are extremely similar and have received their fair share of positive and negative feedback. So, you know what? Screw the haters, screw the series fans, and screw it all! New Super Mario Bros. Wii and you, everybody! What's people's favorite 2D Mario game? The original? Super Mario Bros. 3? Mario World? Yoshi's Island? Well, I'm saying balls to that, and stating that these 2 games are tied for my favorite 2D Mario game. For one, 4-player co-op. Sure, some people find this mechanic dumb and say that it kills friendships, but this allows you to play the game in 2 different mindsets. Completely focused and all about the star coins in single player, while messing around and having a laugh in multiplayer. If you're really wanting some serious Mario platforming, either play with friends you know who are going to cooperate and know what they're doing, or play by yourself. Just don't expect to do it with someone like James. Everybody has that one guy, you know the one. Everyone has a James. That one guy who just won't take it seriously, is loud, and doesn't listen. However, this kind of attitude sometimes brings out the best in me. Now that that's been addressed, how about I get into some of the reasons I like this game? You can't deny that the level design in these 2 games is pretty damn good. It's quite varied, with all the usual shish kebab like field, desert, water, ice, forest, mountain, sky, and lava. Each of these areas brings something new to the table in terms of the game, whether it be a unique mechanic or just an incline in difficulty. For those of you who say this game is too easy, have you played the later hidden and special levels? I've had my fair share of rage quits, hissy fits, and pulled hair from trying to complete these levels. And by complete, I mean beating the already hard level while collecting every single star coin. There are 2 features that can lower the difficulty of these games, those being the boxes that will beat the level for you if you die enough times, and the boost mode. The boxes, never use them. I forbid myself to use them. I beat every level legitimately. And boost mode? Sure, it can break the challenge of levels, unless you use the technique my friend Volkari created, known as anti-boost mode. Essentially, the gamepad player's job is to hinder the player's progression by using the blocks to stop their jumps or hold them in place to be hit by hazards. Yesson and I had a ball playing that mode, and beating a castle with anti-boost mode is really satisfying. So guys, cut this shit out. The new Super Mario Bros. Games are not bad. They are a ton of fun if you let them be. So get your mates together, crank out some food and drink, and have a ball. It's how I do it. I'm very much a Nintendo guy. Like it wasn't obvious, but unlike many Nintendo fans, I didn't grow up with Nintendo. I actually grew up with the Xbox and PS2, so it feels appropriate to talk about one of my favorite games on the PS2. This game is part of a now pretty much dead franchise that was created in the glory days of the PlayStation era, known as Crash Bandicoot. But which game in this iconic franchise is on my list? Well, how about the only one I've ever owned?
Please be warped, 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 please be warped.
It's not warped. Yeah, I know, not the most critically acclaimed or greatly loved game in the series, but hey, do I look like I care? Because I don't. Sure, I'll be the first to admit that this game is far from flawless, with tons of glitches and bugs and just overall unrefined design choices, but like I said, I don't care. I played this game back in a time when I had no critical understanding of game design, so I just tried to have fun. And you can bet your ass I had a ton of it. Being provided with a comic idea of Crash and Cortex having to work together, as well as a new set of villains known as the Evil Twins, you need to save the islands from the wrath of the interdimensional parents. You spend the game in 4 main hubs: Insanity Island, Cortex's Antarctic Lab, the Academy of Evil, and Twinsanity Island. All of these hubs contain very memorable levels, with a lot of unique things placed in these levels, like stuffing Cortex into a pipe. Cause that's a fun. The fun part of this game is the gameplay. Most of the levels are played with Crash, that is the basic bits and bobs of a Crash platformer, or with Crash pulling Cortex around. When you have Cortex with you, the manner in which the game is played is tremendously altered. You can't jump very well while pulling on Cortex, but you can use him to boost the power of your spins or make his cranium into a makeshift sledgehammer. You can throw Cortex to get him to collect faraway objects or activate switches, but if he falls into a pit, he'll
Die.
Not really, he just teleports back to you. The Crash Cortex interaction is also seen in the Brawl Ball level and the 2 Humiliscate levels, which are some of my favourite levels. You also get to play as Cortex solo with his laser pistol and his niece Nina, who is by far the best character to play as. To play as in her one level and phase of the final boss. I think that the thing that intrigues me the most about this game is just the entire soundtrack is manipulated a cappella. No guitars, no drums, no frickin' pan flutes, just a cappella. Going back and listening to this soundtrack while writing this makes me realize how creative this concept is. I think in particular this is shown in the Dingle Dial battle music. I mean, I thought a lot of it was didgeridoos, but it's just manipulated voice. True talent there, guys. Dingo Dial's battle is also the best in the game. The finesse in his flamethrower technique, the droning music, and the cramped metallic setting just makes this a great battle. But the question about how to end this segment persists. How about a cross-dressing Cortex? This entry has been a good while coming since part 3. Let's finally talk about the final game in the original Sly trilogy and my favorite Sly game, Sly 3: Honor Among Thieves. Although the last one in the trilogy, Sly 3 was the first one in this series I played, so the amount of polish and refinement I experienced kinda detracted from my experience playing the other 2 games. I've talked about the stories of the previous 2 games, so it feels appropriate to recite this one's. After the events of Sly 2, the Cooper gang fell apart. The final battle of Sly 2 left Bentley disabled and in a wheelchair. Murray blamed himself for letting Bentley get hurt, and left the gang to embark on his own quest. Sometime afterwards, Sly meets a guy by the name of McSweeney, who is part of his father's old crime crew, and he tells Sly of the Cooper Vault, a vault containing all the treasures the Cooper clan had collected over the centuries. Wanting to add his own tribute to his family legacy, he learns where the vault is, but finds that a baboon named Dr. M has taken over the island with the vault and wishes to crack it open and take Sly's family legacy for himself. Sly chooses to get the gang back together as well as a team of trained specialists to break through Dr. M's defenses and get to the vault. As I said, this game out of the rest of the trilogy feels the most polished. On their third go around, the developers managed to get the feel of Sly Cooper just right. The stealthy and agile feeling of Sly, the new feel of Bentley in his decked out wheelchair, and the hard-hitting style of the Murray are executed so well. But there's more to this mix than just polishing off these 3 characters. We have 4 additional characters to play with. There's the Guru, an aboriginal elder who can transform into inanimate objects to avoid detection and can take over the mind of guards to attack. Penelope, who controls gadgets like an RC helicopter that can grapple objects and enemies, and an RC car that can shoot with a mounted turret. The Panda King from the first Sly Cooper, who can use fireworks to attack multiple enemies at once, and Dimitri from the second game, who can scuba underwater and fight with a spear gun. Out of the trilogy, I think Sly has the most charm. The amount of color that every single character in the game has makes this really enjoyable. And not just the playable characters, all the other grunts in the game and even the villains of the areas have a lot of charm and all contribute to the fun factor of the game. The vehicle and alternate play sections are a lot more polished than in previous games, and are used more frequently and are more forgiving than in previous games, and the boss fights in Sly 3 are the most fleshed out and satisfying. Particular mention going to the battle with General Sal. Boy, that was fun. Sly 3. What can I really say about it? I've discussed the mechanics and styling to the Sly games twice already. What more is there for me to say? Well, I didn't mention the opera singing, did I? I like to think of myself as pretty flexible in my choice of game genres. I enjoy action games, puzzle games, adventure games, RPGs, beat-em-ups, and platformers, just to name some of them. But there are some game genres that I am not terribly fond of, one of which being the horror genre. As you can tell by my, excuse my French, shit choices for things that are scary in 2 out of 3 of my Halloween specials, you know that my knowledge of horror is limited and I'm a squeamish little git. Well, I'm not squeamish about blood, dead bodies, and other creepy stuff like that. I don't know what it is, and honestly, I bullshitted a lot for these 2. Except for my last Halloween special, because that was some grade A shit right there! But I digress. While I'm not a fan of horror games, I really enjoy the atmosphere these games can present, and lucky me, non-horror games have used this stylistic atmosphere. Notably, the Metroid series. And the Metroid game I feel utilizes this atmosphere best is Metroid Fusion. This was the first 2D Metroid game I played after I truly got into the series. My opinions on Super Metroid were a bit uninformed due to my lack of understanding of the series conventions. By the time I had played Fusion, I knew fine well about the style of the series, so you could bet I enjoyed Fusion a lot more as a result of that. Sure, this is a kind of unorthodox style of the series. Metroid Fusion, unlike Super Metroid, is linear, instead of being freely explorable at your own pace. While this does detract from the staple mechanics of the series, I love the linear progression of Metroid Fusion. This set path leads to fantastic set pieces in the progression of the game, and honestly, builds on the atmosphere of Fusion. The cramped, desolate research center overrun by X-parasites, taking on the form of all the deadly creatures that were being researched on and are out for blood. It certainly has the feel of a sci-fi thriller like Dead Space, but without the graphic horror or jump scares. The fear in the game lies in the feel that you have no idea what kind of terrifying creature is waiting for you next. The tense atmosphere is also heavily accented by the constant fear of your superior doppelganger, the SAX, who hunts you relentlessly through the center, can kill you in a matter of seconds, and you cannot harm. Despite all these linear elements and set pieces, there is still a lot to explore, with hidden upgrades listed all over the station. The presentation is fantastic for GBA standards, with very scenic environments with deep atmospheric music to assist in the game's immersion. The boss fights in Fusion are kinda hit and miss. Sure, you have some pretty great fights like with Nightmare and Ridley X, but the fight with Arachnus X and quite a few of the others are pretty unimpressive or just damn annoying. But as a whole, Metroid Fusion is fantastic, an enthralling and thrilling experience and my favorite 2D Metroid game. A must-have for any love of sci-fi thrillers or just thrillers in general. This intro requires perspective, so how about I give you some? Imagine you're like a 7-year-old and your mom and dad take you to a game shop and say you can have a game, any one game from the shelves, and you're like... So you spend a good 15 minutes looking at every shelf in the shop, searching for that one game you want, and just as you're about to give up hope, you glance at the TV screen and you see a trailer for a game. The This trailer, it enthralls you, it pulls you in, makes you want the game more than anything in the goddamn world, and you find it, you buy it, you play it, and you love it! That's my story of how I got Sonic Heroes. I understand very well. Sonic Heroes is far from a flawless game. If anything, it's incredibly flawed. But hey, I guess I have a bit of Josh's nostalgic immunity towards this game. Playing through this game made up a good portion of my childhood, even though I got this game in 2003 and only actually beat it last year. Yeah, I was kinda dumb when I was little. I think the main criticism Sonic Heroes received is how the gameplay is unlike any other Sonic game released. Instead of controlling one single character, you end up controlling 3 characters simultaneously, using formations to alter the way in which the characters are controlled. Honestly, I really like the way the gameplay works. The use of different formations can lead to a lot of variety of level design, and you can take alternate routes and levels depending on which formation you feel you're best at. You have a speed form, where your team follows in single file, moving at a faster pace, and incorporates such things as homing attacks and other features such as tornado-based attacks. Power formation makes your team enter a triangle formation, and the center power character can use your other teammates to cause more damage to enemies and destroy obstacles. Power formation can also be used to perform ground pounds and hover in the air. Flying formation has your team assume a vertical tower, with the character on top being able to fly while carrying the team and launch teammates as projectiles. There are 4 separate teams of 3 characters in the game, meaning a total of 12 playable characters throughout. While this does sound absolutely amazing, it's what I feel is this game's true downfall. In order to beat Sonic Heroes, you have to beat the campaign as all 4 teams and collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds to unlock the final story. But that sounds fine, as long as the campaigns vary exponentially, it'll be fine. While there are some differences in levels that you play through, all teams play through the same levels in the same order and fight the same bosses, discounting the versus battles. The only team that really mixes things up are Team Chaotix, who have to achieve a certain objective such as finding an item or some other task instead of just sprinting for the goal ring. Also, bonus points to Sega for bringing these bad boys back. However, the recycled levels are a ton of fun. They look great, feature new and different elements, have kick-ass music, and are just overall a lot of fun. Wow, I thought I'd have more to talk about, but I really guess that I don't. Sonic Heroes is undeniably flawed, possibly to the point of being broken, such as glitches and errors in the game's coding, but I honestly don't care. I have a fun time, and truly, that's what Sonic's all about. Games tend to be praised when they show a great deal of creativity and display qualities of individuality. In the early days of gaming, this wasn't too hard to do. But in the now congested market of video games, these traits are a bit harder to come across. One company who consistently receives this praise is Valve. My god, these geniuses are amongst some of the best designers the video game industry has ever seen. Despite this, I'm not a terribly big fan of Valve's work. The only Valve game I've had on this list has been Team Fortress 2, due to its over-the-top hilarity and heavily stylized gameplay. Well, it's time for another game from Valve. Valve's lineup has had one shining gem of a series that I really enjoy, and honestly, you all know what it is. Yep, coming in at number 43 on my top 100 is the critically acclaimed and beloved puzzle game, Portal. Just like so many other people out there on the interwebs, I love Portal. I was originally put off by its appearance, as from a quick glance, looks like your typical first-person shooter, but once I was finally convinced into playing it, Portal really surprised me. So what's the plot of this critically acclaimed game? Well, you play as Shell, a mute test subject in a research facility called Aperture Science. You're tasked to traverse through a series of test chambers using a portal gun, a device which creates two-dimensional gates allowing instantaneous travel between 2 locations. You're accompanied throughout these tests by an observatory AI known as GLaDOS, a cynical, misleading, and undoubtedly enjoyable voice to accompany you. Despite this game being shorter than a goddamn music theory seminar, it has made a huge impact on the face of gaming, and is a big part of pop culture. Why the hell is this? Well, I can sum it down to a couple of reasons. First of all, its unique puzzle solving. While the puzzles do start off basic, they become extremely intricate and sensational. Puzzles develop from just portal here, portal there, press the button, hey presto, to incorporating speed and momentum through portals to throw yourself long distances and utilizing time-paced button presses combined with precise portal aiming to complete puzzles. If anything, the uniqueness of Portal comes in its physics-based puzzle solving, which frankly is something that isn't easy to pull off. Second, GLaDOS. Oh sweet holy Tim Tam Minis is GLaDOS fantastic. Due to your character being mute, yeah, not just a silent protagonist, GLaDOS is the only interaction the game has with the player, and to be frank, she is sensational. Her method of teaching, her derailing insults, her cynical nature, her wisecracks, her system crashes, and downright deception is what makes GLaDOS one of the greatest AIs in all media. Also, her voice actor, Ellen McLean, gives such a fantastic performance. Her delivery is simply great, due to the tone and expression in her voice, despite the robotic manipulation of the voice clips. She always manages to get a response out of the player, and we all love her. Frankly, the main reason people love this game is its charm. The emphasis on the cake and the companion cube have left so much of an impact on the face of gaming that I don't think can ever be erased. Portal is one of those games that will most likely be looked back on as one of the pinnacles of gaming culture in the future, and I'm glad I could experience it. You know what we need right now? Some more Pokemans! But which one do I pick? God, there's just so many to choose from! Main series game? I can save those for later. Let's grab a spin-off. Ah, now there's a smasher right there. It's time for me to talk about my favorite Pokemon spin-off. And no, it's not Mystery Dungeon. Go douse your eternal flames with salty tears, Phoenix King, because a Mystery Dungeon game isn't on this list. Get out your snazzy scarves and flight goggles, because we're heading to Oblivia in Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs. So tell me, how many of you have played this game? I thought as much. I have heard no one ever talk about this game, and the one time I talked about this game, it was in my... The one time I talked about this game was in my piece of shit overrated underrated games list. Not the greatest video to unearth my liking of this game in. So, let's start from scratch. This was a game I got before going away for a weekend to a kind of resort with my relatives, and I didn't put it down for the whole weekend. Guardian Signs was just so damn engrossing that I couldn't put it down. The gameplay, the music, the locations, the characters, the story, oh god. I gotta slow down a bit. I'll admit at times the whole drawing circles around Pokemon to capture them can get a little monotonous, but it was never too monotonous that I wanted to stop playing. And anyway, the capture gameplay was made more involving due to the use of Pokemon assists, with type advantages and disadvantages factored into the equation, as well as unleashing the wrath of Ukulele Pichu. Pokemon you capture aren't yours to keep forever. You can hold on to them until you choose to release them, they are attacked in battle, or you use them in the field. You can use a lot of Pokemon to assist you in your journey, but there are 4 Pokemon whose abilities will be yours to wield. Raikou, Entei, Suicune, and Latios or Latias. The 3 legendary beasts are mounts, which can ride through the Oblivia region, and each have a special talent. Raikou can jump over long distances, Entei can destroy obstacles in your path, and Suicune is Jesus. Latios or Latias, depending on your character's gender, acts as a flying mount, which can fly through the skies above Oblivia, and make for easy transportation between the locations of the game. I don't feel like it's necessary to talk about all the locations in Guardian Signs, they're great by the way, but I'd like to point out something. Look at the names of these islands. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So, La, Ti. I guess you could say this is a very modal way of getting things done. Ah, fuck, I'm hilarious. I think above all else that kept me engrossed in this game was in the story and characters. An engaging plot, extremely likable characters, a villainous team that wasn't all bad and held a sense of honor and respect, as well as a legitimately surprising twist near the end. Honestly, when it comes to the story and characters of Guardian Signs, there's nothing I don't like about it. Except one purple-eyed, purple-haired, purple-wearing son of a bitch! Other than that one particular someone, there's nothing in this game that's not to like. So get this game if you can. I give my full recommendation. Also, co-op! To some people, placing another game from this series in this video may be some kind of sin, but I'm just expressing an opinion here, so let's do it. Paper Mario. I'm sure quite a number of you folks out there are wondering why the hell I have the original over 1000 Year Door. Well, frankly, I've actually only played the first chapter of 1000 Year Door when I had a shot of it with Yeson's copy of the game. I have borrowed it fully from Yeson, but I just haven't played it yet because I've been a little too preoccupied with Pokemon Y. I know that I will love it when I play it more, but I've played enough to give it a spot on the list, so I'll be happy it's here. Now, the original Paper Mario. To give another dose of honesty, I don't have this game anymore. I had it on Virtual Console until my old Wii died on me, and I lost all my save data, and I never re-downloaded it again. But I still have clear, fond memories of this game. Paper Mario was just so unique a concept, taking one of gaming's most famous mascots, flattening him down to a piece of paper, and placing him in a 3D-based RPG world was an idea that people thought must have been spawned after a few late nights at the office, mixed with a little something special. But they pulled it off fantastically. The overall plot of Paper Mario doesn't deviate from the norm as much as the 1000 Year Door did, but it does give a nice spin on the rescuing the princess from Bowser routine. Hell, Bowser actually beats Mario at the beginning. What really strengthens the plot are the characters. The characters have so much flair and just add so much life to the experience, with witty and well-written dialogue really fitting for an RPG of this caliber. And that's the key thing. Despite being a Mario game, it has all the merit and assets you would expect from a fully fledged RPG like Final Fantasy. But like all Mario spin-offs, it adds its own little flair to the gameplay. In combat, you use action commands to give your attacks that little extra punch. Good timing and fast reactions are extremely helpful in unleashing your move's full potential. But it's not just Mario throwing the punches, you also have a selection of partners to assist you in battle, as well as in the field. You get a variety of partners, like a smart Goomba who idolizes Mario, a Lakitu with relationship and mod problems, and a Boo who is the lady of a manor. All of the partners contribute a lot to the story, gameplay, and the overall gaming experience. If you know me well, you'll know that I absolutely adore the presentation of games, and Paper Mario more than succeeds. The art style is done like it was a kind of pop-up storybook, with its bright detailed environments and the detailed character designs, and frankly, for the Nintendo 64, these graphics are nothing to sneeze at. The graphical potential of the Nintendo 64 are really pushed to its limits with the quality of these graphics. They look good enough for GameCube, for God's sake. As is the Mario norm, the music is absolutely fantastic. There are just so many fantastic tracks from this game, like the normal battle theme, the end of chapter theme, Raphael the Raven, Tub of Lava's battle theme, and as my favorite theme from Paper Mario, King of the Koopas, the final battle theme. Really, there's just so much to love about Paper Mario, and I really can't go on for much longer without this entry turning into full gushing. So let's just move on to the end.